This is Anila. Today I am going to teach you metal and non-metal from physical science of class 8th. We see many different types of substances in our daily life like iron, coal, bronze utensils, etc. All these substances are made up of different elements. Some substances are solid, shining and hard, while some others are soft, dull and porous. What we shall come to know after? Definition of metals and non-metals. Metals and non-metals in human body. Definition of physical property. Physical properties of metal. Physical properties of non-metal. Keywords to remember: metals, non-metals, lustrous, malleability, ductility, good conductors of heat and electricity, sonorous, oxides of metals and non-metals, displacement reaction. Let's look at the concept map. Let's check the list which are hard and shining and which are not. Iron is hard and shining. Aluminium sheet is hard and shining. Charcoal powder is soft and dull. Chair is hard but it is not shining. Utensils are hard and shining. In general, we can say that there are two types of materials. The materials which are hard and shining in nature are called metals. As example, gold and silver. The materials which are soft and dull in nature are called non-metals. As example, oxygen and nitrogen. Any material has two types of properties. First, physical property. Second, chemical property. Right now, we'll start about physical property of metal and non-metal. By the way, what is physical property? The properties which can be observed or measured without changing the composition of the materials are called physical property. Generally, metals are hard, not soft. As example, we can say iron, silver, copper are hard in nature. Exception, sodium and potassium are soft and can be easily cut by a knife. Solid non-metals are brittle. Some non-metals are soft. Diamond, an allotrope of carbon, is an exception, which is the hardest natural substance. You can see here some materials. You have to identify either they are shining or not. Charcoal is dull. Gold ornaments are shining. Silver bowls are shining. Zinc coins are also shining. But sulfur powder and iodine solution are dull. The materials which are shining or lustrous are metals, and which are not shining are non-metals. We can call them non-lustrous also. The materials which have a bright surface and reflect light is called lustrous materials. And the materials that do not shine are non-lustrous. Metals like gold, silver are lustrous, and non-metals like carbon, sulfur are not lustrous. Materials which produce ringing sound are called sonorous materials. Generally, most of the metals are sonorous, such as iron, copper, etc. And materials other than metals or non-metals are not sonorous. As example, we can say carbon, sulfur, etc. There is an exception. Although mercury is a metal, it does not emit sound. That is, it is not sonorous. Early human beings made their tools from what was easily available, stone and wood. Later, they used the bones of animals. Then, they discovered metals like copper and iron. Tools made of copper and iron are much stronger than tools made of stone and wood. Metals had the advantage of not just being hard, but they could be heated in a fire and molded or cast into different shapes. So, it became possible to make a wider range of tools with such metals. The property of metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability. The shape of the iron nail and the aluminium wire changed on beating. If they were beaten harder, these could be changed into sheets because they are metals. Materials like coal and pencil lead do not show this property because they are non-metals. We use wires in different situations in our daily life. The property of drawing a material to make fine wires is called ductility. Most metals are ductile. As example, we can say copper, nickel, platinum. A thin wire can be made from all these metals. Non-metals are not ductile in nature. Materials that allow electricity to pass through them and make the bulb to glow are called electric conductors. Most metals like iron, copper and aluminium are good conductors of electricity. Lead is an exception, which is not a good conductor of electricity. Most of the non-metals are bad conductors of electricity. Only graphite is an exception. Graphite is an allotrope of carbon. Materials that allow heat to pass through them are good conductors of heat. Metals are good conductors of heat. Silver, copper and aluminium are the best conductors of heat. Non-metals are bad conductors of heat. Generally, metals have high melting points and boiling points. Exceptions: mercury, gallium, sodium, potassium. Non-metals have low melting and boiling points. Exceptions: the solid non-metals, carbon and boron melt at high temperature. Metals have high density. Sodium, potassium and lithium are exception, having lower density than water. The density of lithium is only 0.53 gram per cc. Non-metals have low densities. So, all the physical properties of metals are: metals are solid under normal conditions of temperature and pressure. Most metals are hard. All metals are shiny. The typical shine of metals is called metallic luster. Metals generally have high density. Metals in general have high melting point and boiling point. Metals can be hammered into very thin sheets. This tendency of metals is called malleability. Using this property, aluminium is transformed into silvery foils. Metals can be drawn into thin wires. This property of metals is called ductility. For example, copper wires. Generally, metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. On being hit, metals produce a typical sound. Hence, they are said to be sonorous. This property is being used in making temple bells. These are physical properties of non-metals together. Non-metals are generally not hard. Non-metals have a dull appearance. Non-metals are generally soft and have low densities. The exception here is diamond, a form of carbon which is the hardest naturally occurring substance. Non-metals have low melting point and boiling point. Non-metals are non-malleable. Non-metals are not ductile. Carbon fiber is highly ductile. Non-metals are generally bad conductors of electricity. Graphite, a form of carbon, is an exception. Non-metals do not produce sound, that is, they are non-sonorous when hit. Hey, can you think about our body? Is it metal, non-metal, or something else? Actually, major content in our body is water, H2O. It isn't surprising that majority of human body's mass is oxygen. Carbon is the second one. It is the main constituent of all bioorganic compound. 99% of the mass of the human body is made up of just 6 elements. Oxygen 65%, carbon 18%, hydrogen 10%, nitrogen 3%, calcium 1.5%, phosphorus 1.0%. Summary. Metals are generally hard, but sodium and potassium are soft in nature. Although mercury is a metal, it is liquid. Diamond is an allotrope of carbon, which is non-metal. It is the hardest material in the world. Generally, non-metals are either liquid or gas, but non-metals, bromine is liquid, mercury, gallium, sodium have low melting point. Although graphite is non-metal, it is a good conductor of electricity.